Okay, we start this presentation. Hello everyone, good evening dear doctor and dear students. I'm Li Ning. Welcome to watch our group's online presentation in this evening. The following are our group members is Chen Tianhe, Jiang Qiongkai, Wang Jinshun, Harvey Semino, and me, Li Niying. Today we will explore the topic, analyze chapters 11 and 12. The first scene strikes us to cover the first edition of Pride and Prejudice in 1813, which leads us today's analysis. Pride and Prejudice is a novel written by British writer Jane Austen. Story background: the novel is set against the backdrop of the daily life of the British gentry from the late 18th century to the early 19th century, showing the various aspects of English British society at that time, especially people, marriage concepts, and social customs. Okay, we can from look this picture and this shortly brief introduction. This is Jane Austen brief introduction. I also learned from websites know that she's a woman and both compared to Shakespeare. She never married, but she writes about love and marriage very well. Okay, this part is about the topic. Also, all of Austen's characters are fictionalized. They all reflect Austen's own views on marriage and love. Austen lived at a time when social, economic, politic changes and affect all classes, and the rural aristocrats and long-down uses of the time also reflect some of bourgeoisie's ideological outlook on human nature and humanity after the rise of resistance movement in the issue of marriage and law. In this book, we know that Elizabeth fully embodies Austen's desired mood of marriage, asked Elizabeth and Darcy in this direction, advocating the principle of equality between men and women, abandon the traditional view of male superiority and female inferiority, and that people, noble emotions are the normal needs of people. At the same time, Austen's ideal marriage isn't only equality and respect, but also freedom and understanding, which she hopes to help more and more get rid of traditional thinking so as to find themselves, to realize themselves. Thank you for listening. This is my part, and the next part is now enter to my teammates.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to everyone. I'm Jingxuan, and today I will be taking you through the main events of the chapters 11 and 12 of Pride and Prejudice. These chapters marks an important stage in the novel as they give us deeper insight into the relationships between Elizabeth Bennet, Mr. Darcy, and the Bingley family. Okay, next page. All right, we start in chapter 11. Chapter 11 takes place at Netherfield, where Elizabeth and Jane still staying with Elizabeth are still staying with Jane recovers from her illness. And in there, Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy share another conversation at Netherfield. While Elizabeth stays witty and composed, Darcy becomes more intrigued by her. Caroline Bingley, eager for Darcy's attention, attempts to draw him away from Elizabeth by flattering him, but he remains captivated by Elizabeth's intelligence and charm. Next page. So one of the key moments in this chapter is the growing tension between Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. During an evening gathering, Elizabeth and Darcy engage in a witty conversation. So Elizabeth, as usual, is confident and playful, teasing Darcy about his reserved nature. She says, I have always seen a great similarity in the turn of our minds. We are each of an unsocial, taciturn disposition, and willing to speak, unless we expect to say something that will amaze the whole room and be handed down to posterity with all the elect of approval. Her sarcasm is clear, but rather than being offended, Darcy finds himself more intrigued by her. This moment is significant because it marks the beginning of his internal struggle. He is drawn to Elizabeth's intelligence and spirit, despite his pride. Right, next page. And meanwhile, there is also another key interactions between the characters, which is Karen Bingley. She is desperate for Darcy's attention and tries to belittle Elizabeth. She makes remarks about Elizabeth's loves for reading, attempting to paint her as a dull and uninteresting person. But her attempts to divert Darcy's attention fail. His interest in Elizabeth only grows. In the book, a character named Austen even tells us Darcy had never been so bewitched by any woman as he was by her. This signal is a shift in his feeling, though neither Elizabeth nor the people around him fully realize it yet. Right, next page. All right, now we move to chapter 12. In chapter 12, Elizabeth and Jane finally leave Netherfield after Jane recovers from her illness. Mr. Bingley is warm and attentive to Jane, but the Bingley sisters are less welcoming. As Elizabeth and Jane return home, Elizabeth reflects on Darcy's behavior but does not yet recognize his growing attraction to her. This is the plot in the chapter 12. There is also a key interaction between Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet. Next page. All right, um, these two perhaps the most subtle but significant moment in this chapter is Darcy's reaction. Like the quote saying, Mr. Darcy walked them out. He was silent till they reached the carriage, when he then made only a slight bow and moved away. Darcy remained silent when he walked them out. This small action may not seem important at first, but it tells us a lot about his character. Like he is feeling something, but he doesn't yet know how to express it. His pride and social expectations still hold him back. Uh, Next page. So besides of Mr. Darcy, this in chapter 12 also has a focus shift to Elizabeth and Jane's departure, and also Mr. Bingley. Mr. Bingley is warm and friendly, expressing his hope that Jane will visit again soon. His kindness contrasts with the cold and distant behavior of his sister, who are polite on the surface but clearly uninterested in maintaining a friendship. To summarize these two chapters, it is very crucial because they give us an early glimpse into Darcy's growing admiration for Elizabeth. Elizabeth continued obliviousness to his feelings, and the clear contrast between Mr. Bingley's warmth and his sister's coldness. They also reinforce one of the novel's key themes, misunderstanding. While the reader begins to see Darcy's internal conflict, Elizabeth remains unaware, setting up the tension that will drive the story forward. So this is all from the main events of the plot. Thank you.
Okay, please start this part.
All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone and doctor. My name is Chen Tianhe. Next is my part. I will analyze the character. Firstly, the story meant to take place at the 95th manor, where the Elizabeth temporarily realized due to her sister Jean's illness. From the chapter 10 to chapter 12, our main characters are four in total, namely Elizabeth Bennet and Fitzwilliam Darcy, Caroline Bingley, and Charles Bingley. I have organized the three storylines for the chapters 12 to 10. 10 to 12. These three chapters deeply the personal considerations of the main characters. This through the evidence digitally and details. The main storylines revolved around the emotion for the processionally and of the Elizabeth and the Darcy, following by the Caroline's relationship with Darcy and the Bennet slightly shared the driving force in the shaping Elizabeth's character. Next page. Let's analyze the main storylines of Elizabeth and Darcy. Firstly, Darcy began to with the Elizabeth through his illness still appeared decent on the surface. Caroline respectfully mocked the Elizabeth's regular family, attempting to make Darcy look down on the Elizabeth. But on the consideration, Darcy paid more attention to the Elizabeth's reaction. She hinted through her words and attractions that Darcy should not be instead in the girls like Elizabeth. Attempting the constructions him with social normal, but instead of triggers, Darcy's respiration of a logical. Finally, Darcy clearly depended a deeper instruct Elizabeth, but he still refused to reveal it. When the deeply tried to pressure Elizabeth to stay for a few more days, Darcy did not object and may even secret wish for her to stay. Due to the Jean's recovers, Elizabeth decided to go home. Darcy did not express his philosophically started that she would miss her, but in reality, she breathed a sign of relief and set a lot of groundwork for the subquestions article. Next page. Let's talk about the impact of the Caroline and Bailey's on the emotion changes between the Darcy and the Miss Elizabeth. In the second line, Caroline's intended Darcy's attention, but briefly Elizabeth, and attempts to attract Darcy's attention. Through the reading loudly, play the piano and other means, but Darcy's response is cold, and Caroline's constructively remain Darcy that Elizabeth's family had unbared relived it, which reinformed Darcy's correction about classes difference. This became the code of the conflict during the Darcy's sub-Christians' marriages per seasonal. Next page. Finally, let's talk about the common influence of the Bentley's sibling on the last line. In summary, the Bentley's sibling are both character for the development of the Elizabeth and the Darcy's relationship. Firstly, by the creating comparisons highlights the traits for the Darcy and the Elizabeth. Caroline's friend lines towards Elizabeth highlight the Darcy influence, promoting the Caroline's snobbish or fact the constructor with Elizabeth's sense conversation and wisdom gradually attracted Darcy to her. Then the identified the conflict and attractions, emotions changes. Caroline's provocations made Darcy more provocative in the observing Elizabeth, but Caroline's kindness also gave her the proportionately of the objectively evolved the Darcy's character. Finally, laid a ground the work for the future's conflict. The balance, slightly like manners, reflect the classical divide between the Darcy and Elizabeth, and through them the relation motion allowed the two to gain a deeper understanding of each other in their confrontations. Then the constructing the in the chapters laid an important foundation for Darcy's prose. Elizabeth practitioner and their loved nation monumental understanding. For all this is my part.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Zhang Shongtai. Let's start with chapter 11. Set in the drawing room at the Netherfield Park, it brings to the fore a direct competition between pride and prejudice. Miss Darcy perseveres pride. His words, "My defeat is that it is difficult for me to forget other people's offenses." Labor his haughty nature, he struggles forgive, which gives him an air of offness. On the flip side, Elizabeth embodies prejudice. Her result, "Your defect is that you hate everyone," vividly showcases her hasty judgment of Darcy based on intentional impulses. The core of this chapter revolves around the chapter emotions, tasks, and personality clashes. As Jane recovers and Bingley grows close to her, Elizabeth and Darcy engaged in charged discussions about Bendy and pride. This interaction isn't merely idle chatters. It occurred where prejudice independence, misunderstanding includes, and subtle emotional simmers. It sets the stage for the complex relationship dramatics that will unfold throughout the novel. Next page. And now on to the chapter 12. Here, Elizabeth decided to leave, propelled by class pressures. At first glance, Jane's illness seemed to the immediate trigger. However, stretch and surface, and we find deeper-rooted causes. Lonely sisters, with their side remarks and Merkley, along with Darcy's disconcerting silence, create an environment that Elizabeth can no longer endure. The theme of social class looms larger. The sister Socrates and the prejudice intensities of upper classes represents the shackles of societies. Elizabeth feels extralate, a victim of the social exclude. Darcy detests showing some valiant concern of Elizabeth. His silence in the face of his friend Redigious backfires when he offers to resort her. Her prejudice failed results turn his world. Its ocean gestures into an act of perceived ignorance. But her independent stance also plants her seeds of future emotional uplift between them. This is my part. Thank you.
So for my part, in conclusion, these two chapters show the developing tension between Elizabeth and Darcy while also revealing the social dynamics. The interaction between Elizabeth and Darcy highlights the weakness of Elizabeth and Darcy's growing attraction to her. Also, Caroline looks down to Elizabeth and tries to impress Darcy, but her efforts fail. In these two chapters, Elizabeth, Darcy, and Caroline are the core characters, and their relations, such as Elizabeth and Darcy, Caroline and Darcy, and Elizabeth and Caroline, are important key to the plot. In addition, these characters deepen the themes of pride and prejudice as well. From the conversation of Elizabeth and Darcy, they have judged each other while having an underlying attraction. Also, the fundamental theme of the novel, such as love and romance tension, has revealed in these chapters. So these chapters are having the role of promoting the story for the further way. That's it from me.
Okay, thank you for listening. You were